Monday, Marcus Freeman met the media. It should have been a joyful press conference. The Irish coming off a 49 victory over Stanford, and there's a lot to be happy about there. But then we get the news of All-American corner Benjamin Morrison lost for the season, Tyler, due to a hip injury that will require surgery. And that is a big-time downer on a victory Monday. Offer a little perspective. Notre Dame is losing one of its best players. Your thoughts on Benjamin's season to date and what's next for that secondary?
Yeah, let's first start where Marcus Freeman kind of went in his press conference. You got to feel terrible for this kid. He's someone who's probably maybe still a first-round draft pick, so he still has that going for him. But, man, it hasn't been not just the season, but the calendar year that you would have wanted if you're Benjamin Morrison. Let's go back to March, Darren, when it was announced that Benjamin Morrison would be missing the rest of spring ball for a shoulder injury that required surgery, by the way. So this is going to be his second significant surgery to an injury that he's suffered playing football this year. He got back from it. We saw him in fall camp, and we said, okay, there he is. There's that guy that has been, like you said, Darren, one of Notre Dame's best overall players the last couple of seasons. I still think he is that. When you look at the coverage statistics, he's still locking guys down. He is that glue guy that sticks to opposing teams' best receivers and really limits their day. Tackling, I think there's always been a little bit something left to be desired, but when you look at a corner, I mean, Christian Gray struggles to tackle. We saw a little bit of that in the Stanford game, even definitely in the Louisville game. So, but when you talk about why has this Notre Dame secondary been so good the last couple of seasons? Number one pass efficiency defense in the nation in 2023, top 10 in that regard in 2024. It's because you got guys like Benjamin Morrison who are able to go out there and do what they do. So what are you losing in that? Exactly that. Somebody that you throw out there and you say, we feel good about our pass defense and the way that we're going to be able to shut opposing passing offenses down because we've got number 20 and he can go out there and play a whole game if necessary. You wonder if some of this injury stuff is because of that. He plays so many snaps for this Notre Dame football team, Darren, and now you're going to be looking at other guys to play those snaps. And really it's going to be Leonard Moore, who just a couple of games ago when Christian Gray was out with the shoulder injury, Leonard Moore came in and basically played an entire football game. So he can do it, but it's a numbers thing, right, Darren? You lose Jaden Mickey to sitting out the rest of the season. Boy, I wonder if he's kind of thinking about what if I didn't, what if I stayed in this role? You can't really do that because it's a kid's decision and you have to respect the kid's decision. But he would be playing a lot of football if he was here. He's not here. You have Leonard Moore. You have Christian Gray. You hope that he stays healthy the rest of the season because he's going to have to. If you lose Christian Gray, if you lose your top two corners going into the year, you are in a world of hurt, and there are going to be football teams later on in the schedule that are going to hurt you because of that. So you're looking at Leonard Moore coming in as a starter. I think he's capable. I think he's ready. He's the next man up, if you will, in a long line of Notre Dame corners who have been really good over the years. But because of that, Darren, you're also looking at Carson Hobbs, another true freshman who's not as ready as Leonard Moore. He's going to have to play a lot of football more than you thought that he was going to have to. Do you move Jordan Clark out to the corner just to spell these guys a little bit like you saw when Morrison left the game a couple of weeks ago? It's all hands on deck. We talked about all hands on deck at Viper, Darren, because of the two injuries there. It's the same situation at cornerback for Notre Dame now.
I was thinking about Jordan Clark moving to corner at times, but you hate to weaken almost two positions. And I don't mean that Clark can handle the cornerback spot, but he has been so good, Tyler, at the nickel. I really hate messing with that.
100%. I mean, the nickel corner position is you kind of handpick your guys and say, all right, you're going to play that. Notre Dame's done that the last 2 seasons. Thomas Harper from Oklahoma State was excellent. Jordan Clark coming in from Arizona State has been excellent. If you have to move him out of that, Rod Hurd is totally capable of playing that spot. He did it at Northwestern, but it's the shuffling, Darren. It's why if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's not broke at nickel right now. So you hope that you're able to leave Jordan Clark in the middle there because he's been so good.
Man-to-man defense is a big part of the DNA of this defense. It'll be really curious to see starting Saturday against Georgia Tech if Al Golden has to play a little more zone, which might affect some blitz packages. So we'll see how that plays out. That's not the only injury. That's the big news. But along the offensive line, Billy Schrauth, Tyler, is still questionable. A couple of weeks ago, I think we had been more concerned about this, but if you believe in Pro Football Focus, and I know you follow them pretty closely, it sounds like Rocco Spindler played quite the game against Stanford at right guard.
Absolutely. He was Notre Dame's number 1 graded player on offense, or in the top 3, I believe. He was up there. If you look at his run blocking specifically, he was the number one guard of anyone in college football in run blocking. That's kind of his DNA. That's his MO, Darren. You get him out in space and you let him run over people, he will do that. It's a little more suspect than pass blocking, and that's been the case across the board for Notre Dame as a pass blocking unit. It's been a little bit hit or miss, and you've seen Rocco Spindler miss some of those assignments in that regard. But I do think he's playing well enough overall, even with the ups and the downs, to say, yeah, he's been an admirable starter for us. You fill him in, he's been good. The thing with Billy Schrauth is, and Mike Denbrock touched on this last week when we spoke to him, is the consistency that you get with him. He doesn't have as many as the downs. He has a lot of the ups. He's a really good player. Maybe Notre Dame's best overall offensive lineman heading into the season. He was kind of playing like that in the first 2.5 games of the season before he banged up that ankle. I still think, Darren, if he's healthy, you play him, and he's going to be at that right guard position. And then it brings into a question, hey, is Rocco Spindler better than Sam Pendleton right now? But I don't know if you mess with that. Sam Pendleton's played every game. He missed a couple of snaps a couple of weeks ago because he had to come out of the game, but he started every single game, and Notre Dame seems to like that there. So if Schrauth is healthy, I think you see him play against Georgia Tech.
Tyler, Marcus Freeman made it sound like that Jordan Faison, the Irish receiver, could have had a nice role against Stanford. Did not happen. But this week against Georgia Tech, if needed, and do you think they do need him at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. Because even as good as this Notre Dame passing offense was against Stanford, well, we first have to say Stanford's passing defense is horrendous, and this is what they were supposed to do, and they did it. It still felt like it was just kind of Riley Leonard taking what the defense gave. It wasn't really Notre Dame wide receivers saying, yeah, we're going to make plays and we're going to look like a unit that you haven't seen. It was more so everything finally came together in a way, Darren, that we had been talking about, and Leonard was good enough to allow for that to happen. Jordan Faison, on the other hand, is a guy that you saw it on the play that he got injured again, re-injured with Louisville. That spin move, that little quickness, that get him the ball and let him go. If Notre Dame has had that all year, I think we're talking about a different passing offense. It's just somebody that can ignite a passing offense and can do some of those things that the rest of the personnel on this roster from a pass catching perspective can't really do. So I think it was smart, though. I don't know what Jordan Faison's week looked like leading into the Stanford game, but you have to think the bye week was a whole lot of nothing. Get off that ankle. The less pressure that you put on that thing, the more that it heals. If that was what happened going into the Stanford game too, and he got 2 weeks of that, and now you're able to ramp him back up for the second half of the season, because that's what happens here at Georgia Tech. You're starting the second half of that season, 6 games left. I think you're in a better spot. And look, you didn't have to play him because you knew Notre Dame's offense was going to be fine without him, and it was. So if he did get that rest that he needs, and he's more, if he's closer to a 100% healthy this week, then I think it was a smart move for Notre Dame, and absolutely they can rely on a guy like that going forward.